Gangs fight to stay alive down in the Underhive, and they call it Necromunda. It's a brand new game, similar but not the same as that old Necromunda. Way back yonder in the day, Games Workshop figured out a way to play skirmish set that carried 40K. Well, now it's back again. Don't miss out, my friends, on this new Necromunda.
Howdy folks, welcome back to the Lawrence Jameson Show, the Necromunda Underhive Overview Edition for December 2017. Now I really wasn't planning on getting roped into Necromunda this time around. I had it back in the day, and I got a pretty full plate, as a lot of y'all do, and I was just wanting to get our hands on these miniatures. But I got talked into it down at the Games Workshop store on getting it. And now I'm kind of glad that he did, because I'm looking forward to playing it and putting it all back together. And I'm going to go through the box and give just an overview of it and tell a little bit of the history and things like that. And then at the end I'm going to come back and tell you my assessment and whether I think you should get it and is it a good value. Alrighty then, Necromunda Underhive, brutal game warfare in the 41st millennium. It's a new box set from Games Workshop. And this is a second go round for Necromunda. The first one was way back in about 1993-94. It come out. Now of course, let's talk a little bit about this box. It's the normal GW quality with a nice battle scene on the front depicting the two protagonists that's included inside the box there. In this case, the Goliaths and the Escher gang. And of course everybody got mohawks there, and some people, you know, done complained on the internet about that, but I'm half Injun. So I'm completely okay with everybody having a daggone mohawk. And of course, as you can see, GW has laid to rest the debate about boob armor, because they just went front and center with yeller melons just right there. You know, if that ain't boob armor. So I'm also a fan of boob armor. So let's just get right to it. Open the box set up. This ain't an unboxing. I done had this box opened up and the contents kind of mixed up and whatnot. But you know, we're gonna go through it, see what's in it. First of all, you got a page, a couple pages. You know, it's two, one on one side, one on the other, of the two gangs and how to put your minities together. And it'll tell you in the red here the default standard way of what they got, the weapons and all. And then in the boxes, in the blue boxes, they're giving you the optional or the second guy, you know, to go off at torso. Because I believe they're doubling up on the torsos, and they're just giving options, you know, because they're giving, I believe, 5 torsos each gang. And then you got 10 people off of it. And of course the Escher gang's doing the same thing off of it. giving you different options. And I hope there's a little few more options. Then it shows how to put the terrain together and all. That's a nice to have it all on one sheet instead of a booklet. Now let's talk about these. And it looks like 2 sprues each, and they're identical. You got a Goliath sprue and then another Goliath sprue that's identical to it, and that'll give you all the identical, give you your men. And then on the women's side, you got 2 identical sprues for the Eschers. You get one of these, and I was kind of thought these getting 2 sets in this box. Each of these as heavy as this daggum box was. But you get one set of these, and it's basically doors type barricade things. And objectives. And they're pretty nice, because these if you'll take a look at here, these ammo crates are 2-sided. So you can turn it over. And you don't know if you're getting the guns or the spent brass. You could. Here's the priority marker, I believe they call it, and they got a daggum tentacle, which represents some kind of monster. But this is your objectives sprue. Then they got a sprue that's what they're calling doors, and it's a mighty big doors. But if you get to looking close at them, they are doors. And they use them as barricades as well and all. You get a couple of quick reference sheets, which we're going to look at in here in a minute, along with a rule book, a pretty hefty rule book. Of course, the first about 35 pages or so, about half a dang book, is the fluff in the beginning, which that's good. We're going to get into all that. Some more of the plastic. You got 25mm bases for the little ladies and 32mm for the jocks. So they look like they're very nice bases. It look like a what they're calling sector mechanicus and all. They look walkways, futuristic spaceship looking stuff. You're not on dirt. So that's pretty nice to have. They're included in the box, and I think you're gonna see that going with a lot of the new miniatures. Are gonna come with their own bases. The Shadespire came with bases on every single one of those people that was specific to them. You didn't have to make up bases for them. So, what else did they give you? Give you a set of cards. Here's a bunch of tactics cards. I'm not gonna break them out and run through them and all. Because I have not played the game yet. I have played it one time. So I haven't run through of how do you use these cards and all. But to give you those, and to give you these, which are the cards, and I will run through real quick. These are the cards. Let me get that focus on there real quick. These are the cards that you use to for your people, man. And it's got everybody that's a named character for both of the gangs that's in here. Now what I really liked about this, and I believe I have it in this other pack here. Nope, here it is. Every one of these that they give you here. And it's a mess of blank ones. Okay, take a look at here. Blank. Alright, so you can write up your own people on full, thick, standard cards and not a piece of notebook paper. I really digging that inclusion of that. Of course, they give you a ruler. For if you ain't got a ruler, and you can use it in a pinch is what you use it for. Now the dice they give you, they finally give you a set of dice that got it right. They got a symbol on the 6 instead of the 1. 6 instead of the 1. They finally got it right. And but they didn't give you enough, really. I guess they do for these small games like this, but these are nice dice, and I'd like to have a few more. But he gave you a symbol on the 6 there. And if you take a look at that symbol, we can get it to go on up. Now, it's one of them that's two things. Is it a double-headed eagle, or is it an orc skull? You know, it's both. So some pretty nice dice, and they got it right on there. Of course, they're going to give you scatter dice and some other dice that help you determine wounds and things that have happened to your people, and another one that determines rapid fire instead of just rolling, you know, regular dice and saying, "Oh, I got this many and half in it." So over to here, here's what weights this box down so much. They got thick cardboard. Here's your counters, ready counters, fire, wounds, some pipes. These here are arc or radius for your line of sight, because somebody can attack you from outside of this, and you don't get the bonus of your armor, which is, you know, the first example that happens in a game between the Goliaths. They get a 5 or a 6 if someone attacks them through their frontal arc, but they only get a 6 save if someone attacks them from outside. So then you got a couple of pitfalls they include. Now here you go, man. This is what you're paying for, I reckon, besides the minis. Some really nice double-sided tiles of an underhive, underworld, the sump, just the bottom. This is the bottom of it. You know, you've always heard tell of these green radioactive pools in the bottom of the underhive. Well, here it is, Necromunda Underhive. The only thing I don't like about these is they want you to say these are walls. You know, in the beginning when you're playing what they're calling Sector Mortalis, which is the 2D version of this, which is played on these tiles here. Even though it's played on inches, now don't get that confused. It's not played by using these to move around on. It's still used to measure. That's why they give you the measuring stick. You still measure by inches and move around. These are supposed to be walls. Now, what I envision myself using these for is I'm going to use them, but I'll call that you know, just a sump, you know, or some black, you know, asphalt or whatever, you know, that you could either walk through, or in some games, I don't believe I'm going to play it as a wall, because, you know, I make my own 3D terrain, and you also got this terrain, of course, in the box, and, you know, I got a lot more. So this is really, you know, something good, and the artwork on it, of course, is incredible, man. Everything, of course, about GW is top notch. That's what you're paying for, the quality. You know, they're top notch. That's why it's so expensive. 100 daggum gold pieces. But over in England, of course, you get these because this game's based on 2nd edition Warhammer and Rogue Trader, and all. Basically 2nd edition is when I believe these came down the pipe. And so you're gonna use those, not from the first games. They added on, of course. But here is something that I don't know if they've ever included. The box itself is part of the game board, because as you can see, it's the same size. The inside, the tiles, you know, is same size. They got little doorways on the end and all where you can get in, and this is basically a room. So you can set up these tiles all around the outside of your box here. You see? You have people outside here fighting and whatnot on the outside, and then they got to come through certain doors that could be locked or open or whatever that you may, you can cut that out if you really want to go all the way. You got an interior room that you're fighting in. You fight your first battles up in here in the first scenarios, learning the game, of course. But that's the daggum contents of the box. Alright, let's take a quick skim over the rule book. I'm not going to read every page, but we're just going to give a quick overview of what's going on with it. Of course, there's some very nice artwork from the get-go, especially these dang Escher girls. Very nice artwork throughout, and a few color shots. Okay, they jump off right away into the dang fluff of Necromunda, and I'm going to tell you, it's pretty solid from a standpoint of legacy. They don't change much in some of these paragraphs. are dang word for word nearly from stuff that's 30 years old about Necromunda. So again, some more killer artwork. They don't even shy away from spook, which I thought they would, which is kind of like a crack cocaine type of drug. You know, they got it right here under Forbidden Cities. They talk all about the spook trade and all that, and they jump off. Same guy still running it 30 years later, Lord Helmar. Then they give you a pretty good overview of each one of the houses and what they mean. You got the great houses, then you got the clan houses. That's what we know of as the gangs that fight each other in these so-called proxy wars in the Underhive, so that they don't have wars up here, you know, in the upper hives and all. So there's less violence, so it's all down here and settled amongst these gangs. And they give a pretty good overview of all the other gangs: the House Caldor, Delaque, House Escher, the Lost House, and I'm not going to spoil it. I'm gonna let y'all read all about that. House Goliath, House Orlok, House Vansar. They talk about the Merchant Guild, and again some just killer artwork of Belladonna. I'm in love. But Wars of the Underhive, they talk about the different zones and the funguses and this and that. And then that's, they're going to get into the rules about halfway through the book. Okay, they talk about gangs, your profiles, and like I said, this is very similar to 2nd edition Warhammer or the new Armageddon game, which is based on 2nd edition Warhammer, with a few differences. The weapon profiles work about the same, where you got the accuracy and the cover and stuff is on the front end instead of the back end, making it harder to hit people and stuff instead of on the save end. Okay, you go through here telling you about the different vision arc that each fighter has, and how you can be attacked from outside of it and all. Talking about line of sight, which is very, very important in this game. Very important. Not only that, when you run up here to page 49, everybody better be in agreement with page 49, you and your opponent, because that's talking about cover and how cover and line of sight work and who gets cover and how much. And this page 49 is just talking about the 2D version of it, where you're using these walls that is written down on the tiles that you get with the game. In the next book, Gang War, that I'm going to show you, where they get even more detailed. This is a very detailed game. This ain't your 4-page Age of Sigmar. Nothing wrong with that, but this is more in the realm of role-playing type depth that they've gotten into for these games, because you are dealing with individual, you want to develop, personal care about some of these people. That's why you're naming them, and that's why there's only a limited number of them. So it can be a lot more detailed when you're down on that one personal level instead of dealing with, nameless squads led by some sergeant or whatever. They talk about how to play the game. And basically, I'm going to just tell you it goes like this. You play it like 2nd edition Warhammer, except you trade back and forth each fighter. Not one side goes and then the other side goes. It's one fighter goes and then another fighter goes on the other team. And it's back and forth and back and forth. And just like you're having a close combat the whole time, like in Age of Sigmar or Warhammer now, where you're even when it's not your turn, in this one there are no your turn. There's a turn, and you're just taking turns. You have one guy has priority. He's starting the turn, and you just go back and forth until one team runs out, and then the other team has to activate all their things. And the way you activate, you're activating and performing a couple things that take up a couple of your actions, and that's like similar to Space Hulk, on a smaller level. Like everybody got 2 action points they can use, You know, and you can do different things like use one to aim and another one to fire. You know. Then they start getting into the scenarios. The introductory scenario, like I told you, is played in the box. Then a few advanced rules. They start getting into stray shots when people are, engaged and all. They start telling you about grenades and blast markers and people assisting in close combat and injuries and rolling on the injury dice and all sorts of whatnot like that. And then the beast lair, where you get that tentacle coming up out the ground, the duct ways that you can use to cross between the walls like that. Melta traps, I really like the sound of that. And some just killer artwork, man. She looks like a beast. Philosophy licks. What? Holy jeez. Alright, and they talk about, all the ranged weapons they're going to have in this game here. Of course, this is just basically the basic game, because you only got 2 gangs going at it in here. This tells you about how to make your gang and what's the limitations of it. They talk about House Goliath, how many leaders and champions and whatnot you got to have. The weapons they're restricted to, their skills that are specific to their house, like bulging biceps, of course, bull charge, hell yeah, crushing blow, things like that. Then you go over to House Escher, the second gang is included in this box set, and they have their weapon restrictions and their profiles, and then they have their skills, such as dive, disarm, dodge. They're all about mobility, and stealth and whatnot, because, they're a little bit smaller, being women. And this tells you how to set up boards and how to all lay it out. And then they give you 6 scenarios you can roll in, but I'm going to tell you that one's my favorite. Kira the Huntress. And down there at my games workshop, sorry about the glare, I ain't looking at my screen there. Down there at my games workshop, they got a full-size cardboard cut out of her. I'm gonna tell you, oh my God, I'm in love. So anyway, they give you 6 scenarios that you play in 2D that they're calling Zone Mortalis way of playing it. And they also call the 3D way of playing it Sector Mechanicus. So, that's that first book, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the gangs. As you can see right here, they only got 2 gangs, and I ain't got mine painted up or even cut off the sprues yet. So I'm showing you here an Escher gang and the Goliath gangs that's included in the box. Now I dug around. I don't have any of my old terrain from my first time that I bought Necromunda, but what I do have is a bunch of the old models. Some of them I am getting into is these here. They're a Scavy gang is what it's called. There's the dang leader of them. I already got them painted up because I'm using them as cultists for Nurgle for a Death Guard army in 40k there. And you see, in the very first box set, them were metal miniatures you had to buy. In the very first box set, they give you 2 gangs. And I believe one of them was a Goliath, this might be an original Goliath. And I done converted him over to him. Let me see if I can get that better, sorry. Yeah, I done converted over him to a brother. Look at him. He was in a hip-hop crew. He got afro and everything. That I had a whole bunch of them made up into a badass hip-hop crew. I believe that was the Goliath. And then you had the Orlocks. And look at them things, man. It's come a long way. But from what you got in them old boxes, and I had took some of them, of course, and even converted them over to zombies and things like that over the years. But I ain't painted these up. I actually stripped them down recently. These are what's called Scalies, and they run with those Scavies. They got some big crossbow looking things, spear guns that they fire off. But here's the ones that I'm really looking forward to getting into, and it's these. Getting back into, and it's a redemptionist squad. Look at these suckers, man, with the chainsaws. Oh man, he's ready. And he's converted. And I want to tell you something. That's a Titan weapon from Epic Scale that he done got a hold of somehow. A Titan weapon from Epic Scale. And I got the rest of the Redemptors all stripped down. Now there is a thing with the Redemptors, I don't know if people know, man. They're all about flamers, yeah, and it's cool and all. And they got the robes looking like dark angels and whatnot. But here's the thing. Their leadership is not only dressed in the robes, but they got the cone hats, man. You know, and there could be an issue with them waving Bibles with cone hats and flamers and crosses and all and whatnot. You know, this one here, man, the leader of the thing, he got a Pope hat, a flaming Pope hat, but nonetheless, but in a dang, and if you look real close, he's got a noose hanging from his belt, and just the holy. You know, and that coupled with them pointy hats, that's a bad look nowadays, a real bad look. Now, of course, here's these quick reference sheets that they include in there. And I don't know if we can get a good zoom on them. You got actions that you can do: simple move, shoot, aim, charge, which takes double. Because you basically get 2 actions every time you activate a fighter. Like, it's going to be my turn to go. I activate a fighter, she'll take 2 actions, like I aim and shoot, you know, or move twice, something like that, or do the charge, which takes up both of hers, you know, and there's all sorts of dang actions they can do. Then here on the back, it gives you kind of an overview of what pinned fighters can do, engaged fighters can do, and their actions, and how much them cost. Gives you the shooting sequence, the shooting modifiers, the close combat sequence. You know, it's a lot more involved in detail. There's the injury and the out of action tables and all in a quick reference, and they give you 2 of these, 1 for each. Now if you get the Necromunda, you probably at this stage gonna run one of them 2 gangs if you're getting the box set, so you might as well go ahead and get this gang war. It's about $30. I reckon it's around 15 to 18 gold pieces of gold over in England. But you probably should get this book. And I'm saying, well, there ain't nothing in. There's a lot of complaining on the internet that this book is a worthless, kind of a rip-off and a money grab by GW. But I'm going to tell you this, it's not too bad. They got some more really good artwork in it. And they give a real good detailed, a lot more detailed than the first book about how you do things like leaping and falling. And basically this is where you get the campaign set up, how they set up a campaign, how to set up your rosters and things like that. That was totally skipped over in the first in the first book, in the rule book that came with the box set. So you might as well go ahead and get this, because this is telling all about gaining experience, how the lasting injuries happen, everything, fleeing the battlefield, the post-battle actions, how they purchase equipment, you know, how they take territories and things like that. They go to a trading post, the armory here for the whole Underhive, and the special equipment that they can have. So this book, you know, this book, I don't know why people are complaining, because this book has a lot of, you know, reference information, man. There ain't much or hardly or nothing of fluff in this, man. This is all game reference stuff. Now they're giving you 2 house lists of just 2 gangs, the Goliath and the Escher gang, of course, that's included in the box set. And they're going to give you a little bit more detailed things on how they're, how them 2 gangs. Let me go back to that real quick. I believe this might be an updated credit thing of how you buy, or of course it is, and how you buy these certain champions and your Jews and all that. Same with the house Escher they put in, and then they come up, they give you 6 more scenarios to go with the 6 that you got in that box set, and some very sweet artwork, man. They did not skimp on the artwork of these daggum gangs, and they look really, you know, I like them, man. They look tribal without drawing too much. They're a little road warrior if you want to go down that road, but you know, that's where they're the closest to as far as the science fiction. But that's what this is supposed to be, you know, a post-apocalyptic type scene that they're fighting in and all. Now, yes, you know, I wanted to talk just one more second about where this all come from. I don't have my original copy of Necromunda the game, but what I did dig up right here was where it all come from, where Necromunda the first come from. It's called Confrontation, and what it was a set of articles in the White Dwarf for about 5-6 months straight. They'd give you about 10, 12, 15 pages in a White Dwarf that was honest rules and all, you know, to this new game that they had called Confrontation. And it was basically the whole game they gave you over a 6-month period. And it was the most detailed game. It was way deeper than Rogue Trader. And they got some John Blanche art up in here, dude. And it was the first mentions of, here you go, Necromunda. Talking about Necromunda. They even got Lord Helmwar. In this book, we're talking, this is 1989 or 90, I believe. This is way pre-Necromunda. Talking about Necromunda right there, the Necromunda hives. And this is what I was talking about. Some of these paragraphs is almost word for word in the new fluff and all. They did talk about the heat sinks, of course, that show the anatomy of a hive. This is some daggum good artwork that they should have included in the new. Talking about how the heat sink goes up through the middle of the hive. What a hive looks like dang from the outside, looking in through from the waist and all. Some good artwork in there. Talking about Spook for the first time. That was what you got in the 1 issue, 1 month of a White Dwarf. The next month they come out and then the little section was telling you about the gangs. You know? And what they was called. And I don't think they had a mention of these names was made up for the game Necromunda on the second. I don't think they're named yet. They're just called techie gangs and things like that. They're talking about the characters, and I'm going to tell you, this went real deep. It went so deep that it was pretty much hard to have a game if you had more than just a couple of models on the table. I mean, you had more to keep track of, more than 3 or 4 people. All the stuff that was so detailed. And a lot of the stuff was rolling on a dang die 100 to get a percentile. Look at that John Blanche artwork right there. Just incredible stuff that's where it was at in a dang White Dwarf. You know, I don't know if I'd ever made it into a book right there. Just incredible. Talking about all the weapons and stuff, and of course, like I said, die 100s to try to the trading charts. And they didn't even really get deep into how the game was played, dude, until about 3-4 months into it. It's talking about hand to hand and how you roll and how you do combat, and this is how you shoot and all. Here's another beautiful John Blanche artwork. Unbelievable. You know, look at these little monsters and things in these gangs. And I can't remember what the name of that clown gang that John Blanche drew up in a lot of these. I can't, if maybe it would say it in here somewhere. But this is where Necromunda come from. Was a game. Look at that artwork by Blanche, man. It's just unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. From a game called Confrontation that was out in the White Dwarfs. So that's the granddaddy. Well, there you have it. The long and the short of it. Well, it's 125 bones. The miniatures are top notch. I gotta give the miniatures a 9.5. And the peripherals, as far as the board and all that, I give it about a 8. The rule book and literature inside, including the fluff and all, I gotta give that a 9. Gameplay, I can't rate it yet. I've only played one game of it, and I just can't rate it. If you're looking for a good skirmish game, I really do think you should pick it up. You know, if you need parts and whatnot for other minis, this is a good source as well, but not for $125. They do sell the games separately, and I'd recommend you go that route there if you don't want to get into the game. But the game is deep. It's not a direct port of the old game. It is different. I can't give an overview on the game yet, or even much of an opinion. I've only played one game. But I will in the future. We will be having some more Necromunda info. So, I do recommend it, but I don't think it's a must-have. You know? Let's see how it develops. Let's see how many more gangs and things they put out with it. The Orlocks should be out very soon after you see this video. And we'll see how it progresses and all. So I'm hoping to get some of my old gangs, the Redemptors, and things like that, and Scalies and Scabies in on it as well. So I think they got Gene Stealer Colts was being added as well, wasn't it? Alright, so look, I hope y'all subscribe. As y'all can see, we got a lot better technical stuff, but we're going to just drive on through all these camera problems and microphone problems that we're having right now, and we're just going to drive on through them, you know, and just get some content out to y'all. Necromunda overview. See y'all later. If y'all can help it, click that daggum subscribe button down there, or leave a comment.
And they call it